Hey, good morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday to you. Welcome to another episode of the Daily Dose. We're number 66 of the Daily Dose. 66 episodes giving you some encouragement. Today I'm going to put on the trainer's hat. Yesterday, I went deep with you. If you didn't watch yesterday's, please go back and watch it, just with everything going on in the world. And I shared one white man's perspective. But today it's a different topic. Today I'm going to put on the trainer's hat, so to speak, and talk about what happens next if you're still out of shape and overweight. What happens next? That's the question. That's the question of the day. So before I get into what happens next, I wanted to share with you who I am, what I do. I'm an online coach, been in the health and fitness industry for over 25 years, worked in pretty much every industry. I don't have all the answers, but I have a lot. I really focus my attention now on busy moms and dads over 40. My people, they got kids, teenagers. In fact, I caught myself last night yelling at my teen who was up, my 16-year-old who was up at 1:45 and woke me up second night in a row, woke me up because he was playing a video game. And I was pissed. And I think I probably snapped, and it wasn't the best, probably best choice of words. But I snapped, and it wasn't good, and I'm definitely embarrassed. But that's not what I want to talk to you about. But typically, just sharing with you why I work with busy moms and dads over 40, because there's a lot of moms and dads I know that struggle. They have teenagers in struggle, and they have just stuff in their season of life that's just hard, right? And some of them may be preventing them from being in the best shape of their life. Maybe it's why they're still overweight, why they're still out of shape. But before I go into what happens next, if you're still overweight and you're still out of shape, I want to share with you what happens next when you are in shape and you're not overweight. So I wanted to kind of approach it that way first, because until you can understand what happens next when you're in shape, what I see time and time again happen to people is they get in shape and then they don't have the next step. So what I wanted to share with you is what happens first when you are in shape, or you get in shape and you get the weight off. And then what's next there? And what's next is still work. It's still a challenge. So today's message of encouragement to you is from somebody who is in shape, who's not overweight. And somebody, again, this is just one perspective, but I can tell you tons of the people that I've worked with in the past, the challenge isn't so much necessarily getting in shape, although that might be where you're at right now, and I'm going to get to that. But once you get in shape, what's next once you get in shape? Well, here's the thing. You can't just stop. You don't just stay in shape. That's the unfortunate myth, is once you get the weight off and once you work out enough so you get your body where you want, then you stay there. That's truly not the case. In fact, I'm going to hate to break the news to you, but it just gets harder. Because what happens is you get a taste for what it feels like, how your body feels when it gets stronger. I see it all the time. Mark, I remember when you had the gym. I remember, back, 10 years ago before kids, and I used to be in really good shape, and they have that memory of how good it felt. But here's what happened. And I'm not saying whether you're you have a baby and you have to stop working. I'm not necessarily talking about that. Maybe you've just felt that way before in the past. And then you lost that feeling, and now you're struggling. You're saying, man, I really wish I felt like I did back when I was doing my marathon run, or back when I was working out at the gym 4 times a week, back at doing those types of things. It felt so good. Things felt so good. And man, I don't know what it is, but I can't get there. And here's the problem, is that we get older. So when you get in shape, hey, listen, I've been pursuing this for the past 25 years as far as my personal fitness journey, and it's still hard. Yesterday, and I have to share this little story. Yesterday, I was going to do one of my workouts at home, and then I was getting distracted, and my phone kept blowing up, and I needed to just get away from technology altogether. So I went for a run, and I'm not really a runner. In fact, I do like sprints. I like to do wind sprints, but I was like, I just did those yesterday after my workout. So I went for a jog, and it was a terrible jog. I felt like I was 80 years old. I was achy. I think it was from my workout yesterday, but I was just achy. I'd sat around a lot of the day. I didn't really probably warm up as good as I could have. I did spend some time foam rolling, but point is that I really felt my age yesterday, and it really sucked. And I would say this is taken from a guy who's been pursuing it. So first, most important thing is, what happens next when you're in shape is you have to keep getting in shape. You don't just maintain. And that's the worst cop-out I've ever heard. Well, I'm just maintaining. I've messaged hundreds of people over quarantine. I'm just maintaining right now, Mark. I'm just maintaining right now. I'm just maintaining. Why? Okay, well, I didn't have access to the gym. I didn't have access to my spinning instructor. I didn't have access to the trainer or the class I like or the weights. Does that mean you still have to maintain? And don't get me wrong, if you did and you got through without putting weight on, or, I definitely feel not nearly as strong, but it wasn't because I had the gym, because I do a lot of my workouts at home. It's just because I've been distracted. Just distracted with family here and distractions from all the world stuff going on and craziness gets you kind of depressed a little bit. But I would say is when you get in shape, what happens next is you have to keep getting in shape. You have to keep pursuing it. You have to keep progressing. That is the key word. But what happens next if you don't get in shape? What happens next if you are still overweight? What happens next if now when you're 30 and now you're 40, or if you were 40 and now you're 50, and maybe when you were in your 40s, you had an extra 20 pounds, and now you're in your 50s, and now you have an extra 40 pounds. What do you think the trend is going to happen when you get a little older than that? And the problem is not just about weight, not just about having to maybe buy more clothes, not just having to have more doctor's appointments, not having as much confidence, maybe feeling terrible about the way you can't even bear to look at yourself in the mirror anymore. Not necessarily just that. What happens when you don't? What happens next when you don't get your body back in shape? When you don't do what you need to do to lose the weight or getting back in shape? What happens is worse, because you're getting older and things are not just getting harder, is that your body is starting to age. And the aging process can be really, really terrible, especially if you have an extra 30, 40 pounds on your weight. So like I said, I'm putting the trainer's hat on now. Here's the thing that happens when you're overweight and out of shape. What happens next is your life still moves on, right? So long as you have breath in your lungs and you wake up another day, you're going to still have to carry around the weight, and carry around the weight maybe on your shoulders, the weight in your mindset, the weight feeling terrible about yourself. And on top of that, you're not going to be able to do the things that you enjoy to do. You might not be able to run anymore. You might not be able to play with your kids. Okay, my kids are older and they're out of the house now, and I still am in terrible shape. And what's the next step is that your family's going to start having families, and the next generation. Now, I know maybe some of you are early on in that walk, and for me, I got teenagers, right? So hopefully that's not going to happen anytime soon. But I know, I hope and pray that when that does come, that I can still enjoy that and be a part of my family's life by being active and healthy, not overweight, not out of shape. Because I don't know if you're there right now, but if I'm speaking this and resonating this to you now, if you're overweight and out of shape, what happens next if you don't do anything is far, 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 far worse. If what happens next and you choose to do something and maybe you fail, that's, I think, the other problem is people say, well, Mark, I tried to do what's next. I tried to get myself the weight off. I tried to get back on a healthier path, and I've just failed so many times. I've tried so many diets, and the problem is not so much starting something, not so much starting the diet, not so much starting to exercise, not so much joining the gym, not so much going for a couple of runs. The problem is you stopped. The problem is you quit. The problem is you gave up. And that's the problem. What happens next, typically, when people are out of shape and overweight, is they try something they think it's not going to take much time. And like I just said earlier, when you get in shape, it's still, you have to put effort and time into staying in shape. That's the hardest thing. In fact, I think what's crazy is you see people online, their Instagram bodies and all that stuff, and chiseled six packs. And I've been in this 25 years. I still to this day don't have a chiseled six pack. I know for a fact what happens is guys go hardcore for like 8 weeks, 12 weeks. They get their pictures, they get their fancy pictures, and then they just blow it out, and then they go back to being a normal body. But then you're looking at like, oh my gosh, his six pack is amazing. Her legs are so defined. They got so shapely. And I'll tell you what, that's hard to maintain. Not to say you can't, but I would say it's hard because it takes effort and work. So my question to you is, what happens next? I'm going to ask that. What happens next? Now, if you've been trying and failing, again, the trainer hat is, so to speak, on right now. If you've been trying and you've been failing and you're in your 40s and maybe you said in your 30s, hear this all the time. I said in my 30s that when I hit 40, I'm going to be in the best shape of my life. I'm going to have, the weight off from having kids. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to have good muscle tone and definition. And I've been married for 10 years now. I don't necessarily care if I have a six pack. I just want to have a flat stomach. I want to have toned legs, and I want to feel good about myself. And I hear that time and time again. And I hear that from people that are now cracking on 50 in their later 40s like me and getting 50. And they're saying, man, I said that I was going to do that when I turned 40. And here I am about ready to turn 50, and I'm not there yet. And I think the problem is what happens next. What happens next? You gave up too soon. You quit too soon. You don't think that it's possible for you. You don't think that even a coach like me, who's helped hundreds and hundreds of people over the years, can help you. Well, you can keep watching the success stories. In fact, I'm going to drop one today that's going to knock your socks off. So what you'll need to do is in about an hour, I'm going to post a success story from a man in the neighborhood here who's not only has a full-time career, has a family of 2, and his wife's pregnant, and he started during coronavirus, and he got killer results. So if you don't think you can do it, I can tell you this, you can do it. But it all depends on what you do next, what happens next. So listen, if you want to learn about what happens next when it comes to having a coach in your corner who's going to guarantee you succeed, guarantee. How confident am I? I'm guaranteeing you succeed. You do what I tell you to do, and you will succeed. If you want to lose the weight, if you want to get in better shape, if you are ready and serious, and you're ready to make an investment, here's the thing. Free is free. There's no investment in free. You invest in yourself, and chances are you're going to get that return on your investment if you invest wisely. So listen, if you want to reach out to me, again, this is the trainer hat day today. Yesterday was an emotional one, and again, if you haven't watched that, go back and watch that. I think truly probably one of the most emotional daily doses I did yesterday. So today I wanted to keep it light, but about who I am as far as a coach and putting on my coach's hat, because I believe that you have what it takes. You have what it takes. What happens next is in your hands, not my hands. It's not in the diet's hands. It's not in the gym membership's hands. It's in your hands. It's up to you to decide what you want to have happen next. Take care. God bless. If this helped, if you found this valuable, share this with somebody. Save me so when I come on live that you get a notification and you get that. Take care and have a blessed day. We'll see you.